Well, yeah, I mean, he had more mobility than the starter, so it was certainly an adjustment. The quarterback was in play, so you have to take all those things into consideration when you're preparing and make those adjustments during the course of the game.
I know it's not new to college football, but for your young linebackers, how important was it to get game reps of having to mentally be aware of that?
I think it's really important. I mean, the more situations you put in, the more experience you have, and the more experienced you are, usually the better you are. So every rep's like gold, man. Every rep is really critical, valuable.
How have you seen PJ maybe grow early in the season? His snap count's gone up the last couple of weeks, but how have you maybe seen him grow the most as a young player?
Again, being more comfortable and reacting now, and not thinking as much, and just reacting. And when that happens, you let your athleticism, kicks in a little bit more as opposed to thinking. And he's done a good job as a young guy like him that. He's got a lot of ability and a very bright future, and he's just going to continue to get better and better because he works really hard at the game too. Yeah.
Ryan? Yeah, Ted, I want to ask you about Kanai Walker and his development. What have you seen from him, different from a year ago, and what kind of development have you seen from him just over the course of the last 3 games?
Well, number one is health. He's stayed healthy, and certainly, gained more experience and more reps, and has been thrown in the fire now. So, he's a guy that has done a good job and is trending in that direction. Excited about him and happy for him, happy for us, and expect it to continue to go that way. Sure.
Ted, you're facing the Cincinnati quarterback, really mobile. Just talk about containment and just keeping him in the pocket, keeping him contained.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. He's really mobile, explosive, makes explosive plays with both his arm and his feet. He's not just a running quarterback. He's a guy that can read coverages and throw it accurately, and a strong arm can make all the throws. And on top of that, like you said, the athleticism, the ability to tuck it down and run and extend plays with his feet. So defensively, that presents a lot of problems, and it's something, from a contained standpoint, we got to limit his area of operation.
James?
Ted, how did you feel your linebackers played as a whole? I mean, again, Danny's the leading tackler on the team. And I'm curious, outside of Jones, the rest of the offense for Cincinnati, it looks like it's a pretty good offense.
Heck yeah, it is.
Could you talk about both of them?
Yeah, well, as far as our linebacker play, we got to get better. We got a lot of things we got to improve on. And again, it was good to get a bunch of people reps the other day. So to continue to expose them to that, and for our young guys to experience that, and that the same guys, our older guys, say, okay, hey, here's where we got to get fixed. We got to take this off the tape. And as far as Cincinnati's offense, multi-dimensional. The thing that jumps out the most is, they're one of the top rushing offenses in the country. I think they're the 8th rushing offense in the country. The least amount of yards they've been held to this year is 219 rushing yards. That's a lot. Okay, and that's the low end of what they've done. So our ability to defeat blocks, fit, and tackle is going to be a big deal this week, because they're really physical in what they do. And, that's a team that, has a lot of pride. Over the last 5 years, they're one of the most winning team in college football. It's not like that. I mean, that just went away. That's who they are. So we're gonna have to put our best foot forward and go play really well, in an environment that should be pretty hostile to find a way to win. Sure.
Eli?
Ted, this time last year you were coming back from Lincoln. You had K-State coming here that weekend. Where do you feel with the defense this time around? You guys might be further along 3 weeks in, or where are the signs that this defense is maybe ahead of where it was a year ago?
Well, I think that when you look at tape and you look at the execution, I think we've executed better at this point than we have last year. But again, that's only 3 weeks in the season. It's about today and tomorrow, and then it'll be about Saturday and this week. And we got something to prove every day. And so that's our approach, that's our mindset, that's our players' mindset, and we got to move forward and get better.
Ted, what's the key to keeping it even keel after a nice start to the season? But you mentioned immediately third down defense. You know, sometimes we got to work on. Is it easier for you when you know there are so many things that still have to get better for those players to understand the message?
Well, if you just look at the scoreboard, that's one thing, you know. But when you look at the tape and you go back and you study it and you break it down and you get into all the details of it, I mean, yeah, our players understand that. You know, that was a nice win for us, but they understand that we got to get a lot better real quick. And you know, all you got to do is show them the tape. The tape doesn't lie. The tape tells the truth. So, you know, and then our guys have seen that and are excited about, you know, improving and getting better because we know we're going to have to.
Ted, wanted to ask you about Jaren Kanak through 3 weeks. I think he leads the team in snaps. Just maybe how have you seen him adjust to, you know, a bigger role, a lot bigger role compared to last year, and just what have you seen from him overall?
Yeah, seen some improvement. Again, a young guy that is in a position of leadership, is in a position of communication. You know, has to own everything and help run the show. Excuse me, and be an extension of us. So, you know, that's a big deal, and I think he's done a good job with it. And at the same time, there's a lot of room for improvement. But he's a guy that works really hard at the game all the time, and I have a lot of respect for that. And I expect him to continue to grow and get better and moving forward.
Go very back, John Hoover.
Yeah, hey Ted.
Hey.
Did you see or sense any maybe a new level out of your defensive tackle specifically in that game Saturday? John especially had seemed to disrupt.
Yeah, we were more disruptive. I thought that our guys inside, you know, were more disruptive, and certainly that's a wonderful thing. And especially you're going into a week like we're going into right now, where we know, you know, our inside guys have to win and get knocked back, because if we're at the line of scrimmage or go backwards, you know, there's going to be some big time seams, and these guys, you know, he runs through a lot of tackles, and we cannot get, you know, cut out of our gaps and, you know, make gaps wider, because our whole deal is to constrict everything and play team defense, and those guys did a nice job this weekend.
Do you feel like that's been a steady progression for them, or do you find guys are up and down per usual?
Yeah, I think it's been a steady progression. I think Coach Bates does a great job with those guys, and you know, that's a point of emphasis, and he understands that and beats that into their head too. So, yeah, I think that's where we've made some strides and still got some room for improvement, especially against the type of opponent that we're playing this week. Yep.
Okay, we'll stay in the back next to John.
Yeah, Ted, 5 interceptions from your secondary this past weekend, the most in 2003. How does that motivate this unit, you know, going forward in conference play?
Well, I think it, you know, if you look at the impact that those have on a football game, a takeaway, especially, you know, if you get a score on defense, you get one where you give it to the offense at the 4-yard line. I think the other one was at the 37 or 32. So, again, football has always been a game of field position, and it always will be. And to be able to flip the field with takeaways. And I was also proud of, you know, the first series with the way the game started, you know, getting a takeaway on the first series as well. So I think our guys are doing a good job making plays on the football, and at the same time, got to continue to do that and create some fumbles.
Third row, left, Randall.
When Tulsa's backup quarterback came in, I think they scored on 3 consecutive drives. What changed after that, or what adjustments did you guys make to hold them scoreless for the rest of the game?
Well, a lot of those were mistakes, you know, where the details of what we were doing, we weren't taking care of business there. So and they did a nice job. I'm certainly not going to take anything away from Tulsa that young man. They did a nice job and executed, and we didn't. But we started executing better and playing on our toes, and good things happened for us.
Far left, Tim.
Hey, Ted, circling back a little bit, the turnover margin, the ratio, is considerably different this year than it was last. What do you attribute that to? I know there were some plays last year that maybe you didn't take advantage of.
Yeah, you know, last year we had some missed opportunities in that area. It's certainly something that, you know, I think every defensive coach, every day of their career, emphasizes it and you coach it. But, you know, we made plays and took advantage of the opportunities, whereas in last year, you know, we missed a couple of those opportunities that could have been big and game-changing in a couple games.
back corner, on the right, Joe Sala.
Ted, what do you remember from Kendall Dolby when you were looking at him in junior college, and how do you think he's settled in so far?
Oh, I saw a guy that made plays, that was very active, had a lot of production, was savvy, and was physical. You know, that's one of the things that certainly jumps out on his tape is he's a physical guy. So excited about his progression. He played more last week and probably play more this week, and you know, to be able, but you know, like everybody, we all got to earn it, and but he's worked hard and he's excited about it, and we're excited about him.
James, have another one.
Yep.
Coach, you didn't have your top two guys on the depth chart, at least at the Cheetah in this last game. So how did the guys you played there play, and what's that position look like going into this game?
Well, yeah, you're right, we didn't, but you know, it's the next man up, and I thought that, yeah, I mean, with Peyton and Reggie and Kip, and you know, it was and Sammy, so it was good to see. And you know, it wasn't like that. You know, they got thrown in at the end of the game. There were a lot of meaningful reps there, that usually promotes growth. And I think that moving forward, we're going to be fine.
Right side, second row, James Jackson.
Coach, the defense kind of got thrown out there after the turnover. We were able to, the first turnover of the game, we were able to get a turnover themselves, and Ditch Williams was able to come down with the ball. What have you thought about Ditch Williams and the time he's been on the field so far this season? Now he's in the field.
Yeah, I mean, Gentry's a guy, you know, he's still a young guy, but his growth has been obvious, and because he works at it, he cares so much. And, you know, when guys do that and you pour into things, you usually improve, and we've seen that out of him in the same sense, a guy that's really serious about getting better and takes great pride in how he works and how he performs, and, you know, see him going this way and expect that to continue.
Right here, Eli.
Last week you said football just makes sense to Peyton and that certain things are just instinctive for him. How many guys have you seen like that who could come in as a freshman and play multiple positions and speak about defense the way he does? I've
been doing this for 38 years. I don't remember how many I could count, you know, but there's been some. I'd like for there to have been more, but there's been some. But you know, those guys like that, when it makes sense to them, it's not easy, but at the same time instinctive. Where you might ask a guy, "Hey, why'd you do that?" I don't know, but it was right. Okay, good. You know, that as opposed to why'd you do that? I don't know. You know, and it was wrong. Those guys that make good decisions and you're usually right. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Anything else for Coach?
Did they give you all that fumble, Ted?
No.
They didn't give it to you yet?
No.
So we're staying at 85.
Yes, I know you had to be right. Okay, you had to ask that question, so you were right. But yes, you're right. No, you're right. I give it to you. You're right. Statistically, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. We don't need to talk about it anymore. You're right. You're right.
Wait, I'm supposed to play.
You're right. You're right. No, but anyway, that's just what I saw.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ted, thanks.
Bye. Yeah, sure.